One of the things I like about working with Tony, I've done a fair bit of work with him now, him and Mike over the last year a bit. I like someone who can put the practicalness back into practical, right? One of the things that slowed a lot of advisors down was the compliance piece being put into their business. Now that we're through that, it's not as daunting as we all thought it was going to be. In fact, I think that process is one of the best things to increase from being $100 a month to a $400 a month average sale by doing it clever.
Thanks, Kev. All right, I want to kick off, with your permission, with sharing a little bit of a story from a long time ago. Back in about 1986, I was in the Australian Navy, and I'd been in there for a few years, and I was already pretty good at my job and all those sorts of things, and I volunteered to go to Submarines. There's a point to this, of course, so just humour me. Anyway, I'd gone and done all the classroom learning, and you read the books and you do the tests and you find out how everything works and where all the hydraulic systems are and all that sort of stuff. And then eventually they post you out to a boat, and you're there as a trainee. And as a trainee, you're probably going to be there for about 6 months, learning absolutely everything. You're not allowed to put the rubbish out unless you're being supervised, right? I kid you not. You're not allowed to do anything without being supervised and trained. So there I am, my very first day at sea on Her Majesty's Australian ship Orion, and they're taking it out of refit, and they're taking it 10 miles off Sydney, take it down to see whether or not they can break the boat. The skipper has literally just taken the boat, first time back out of the dockyard, and he's taking it out to see what will break it. And that's my first day as a trainee. So I'm standing there in the control room, and I've read the books and I've done the tests, and apparently these things are safe to 650 feet. And at 650 feet, theoretically, they start to implode, which is not really good for the people inside them, right? So, not good. So anyway, as the depth gauge ticked over 800 feet, I was staying calm because everyone else was calm, but that's when all the glass dials started breaking in the control room, so everything started shattering. Then the hydraulic hoses started to break, and so on and so on. So stuff's breaking. And the skipper of the boat's literally just taking it down piece by piece by piece just to see how far he can push it. And the point in telling you this, and there's another little bit that I'll get to in a second, but the point in telling you this is the military, for a couple of thousand years and a few million lives, has worked out how to create really efficient systems that keep people producing and performing in times of high stress and high pressure. Okay? So there's a lot we can learn from them. Anyway, as we're standing there in the control room, I'm staying calm because everyone else was calm and I didn't know what else to do. Basically, my job at that point was not to touch anything, right? There was one other trainee on board, and he suddenly came racing through the control room and went racing up that ladder. You know that thing that pokes out the top of the submarine that people climb in and out of? Yeah, he decided he wanted to get out. So he climbs up the ladder, and 2 guys go up after him to pull him back, and the skipper, cool and calm as you like, just turns around and says, nah, if he can open that hatch, he can leave. All right? The water pressure at that point is about 5 tonnes worth of weight, so he's got no hope of moving it. So, submarines and financial advice businesses, what have they got in common? I'm going to suggest to you that one of the things the Navy can teach you, and something that I've been using for a number of years, is they've worked out how to get maximum efficiency out of any business or any machine or any factory. And this is a business, it's $1 billion business, with a staff of between 73 and 93 people, okay, that's got the job of going out and being the most efficient spying machine in the world. That's its job. When they know they're heading into slow time and it's time for the boat to go into a rest or a refit period, we move into this mode called rundown period, and Glenn will recognise this, won't you? RDP. And in rundown period, your emphasis changes. You still stick to your core operational tasks, you can still fire missiles and stuff, but you stop painting and cleaning and doing all that stuff that keeps everything beautiful. What you do start doing instead is you start thinking about how you plan your systems improvements. How can we make this a more efficient machine when it comes back out of its rest period? Then when it's in its rest period, the people that are working in the business, they all leg it, they go. Okay? They all leave the business, and all the outside contractors come in and climb all over the boat. It's sitting up there on its docks. They climb all over the boat and they weld and they break and they install all the systems that you thought about and planned for, and they put it all together again. And then when they're finished doing the putting it all together again, we come step back inside it and we start to drive the thing. We take it out to sea and we get into relaunch. And here's the thing that a lot of people in business don't recognise. When it's time to put it back to sea, that's actually your testing environment. That's the place where you go out and see what works and doesn't work. So, with that in mind, how can we apply those lessons inside the financial advisor's business? Can anybody find fault in this as a formula for how to build a successful advice business? What other components are in there? It's about it in a nutshell, isn't it?
Health. Health.
Health. In what way, John?
Yeah, the prospects, the conversion rate. Health can be a little better.
Arguably comes under the quality. Is that the area you're looking at? The quality of the business that you're doing, the quality of the clients you're working with?
Yeah, but you work with good quality, but sometimes don't have good health.
True. At a purely mechanical level, how to run a business rather than at the individual how to write a proposal, okay, how to run a business stage, I'd venture to suggest that this is the formula for your business. Here's the levers that you can pull that can change the profitability inside your business. Really, it only comes down to how many leads you can get and how good you are at converting them, multiplied by how much business you do with each of them and what the average business size is, what leverage you can bring to the table in the form of IT, staff, capital. By the way, you can have any of these slides later. They'll either be on the Ginger website or Leighton will be sending them around. And your margins in your business. Those things together add up to your profitability, don't they? So that's how to run a business. And one of the things that I suggest you do as you work into this rundown period is you start to think about where you're going to get the best bang for your buck. If you're only going to change a couple of things, because you're not trying to reinvent your whole business every year, you're trying to change or improve a couple of things. What are the areas that give you the greatest opportunity? So just going back to that formula thing for a moment, there's only a few levers that you can pull. These are real numbers. This is the average of what I see with advisors that I've been working with over the last few years. Okay? Not the elite people, of course, but this is your typical Joe. Okay? Your typical Joe inside the business. Do these numbers look and feel about right to you guys? They're doing about 600 phone calls a year. Feel about right? Yep. About 240 appointments get made. Not all of them get kept, of course. Okay, you get down there and find that most of them are doing about 120,000 API, which is about 80 sales a year. Interestingly, when you start to look at the ratios, and most advisors are really bad at this, you guys all keep your numbers and your ratios, right? Yes. Just go nod, yeah. Katie really does, and the rest of you are going to. Good on you, Katie. Okay. Here's a really powerful thing. Okay, when you start to keep your own numbers and the law of large numbers starts to kick into effect, you've actually got some useful business data. Okay, you've got some stuff that you can use to manage yourself and improve your areas of weakness. If I was to say to you, come and work for me and I'll pay you $360 every time you pick the phone up and try to make an appointment, most people would go, how much money you got? Because I can get through like 10 an hour. Yep. How many phone calls would you make? A few? Yeah. Just enough for wine money? Yeah. That's about it. And yet, when you're looking inside your own business, most advisors haven't sat down and realised what money falls out from basic activity. Thoroughly urge you to get back into the groove, if you've gotten away from it, of keeping your own numbers. There's actually a heck of a lot of useful business information in having your own numbers there. But for most guys, I reckon they're missing out on about 400,000 a year, and this number is not a stab in the dark. Done some work with some firms over the last few years where we've found this sort of money inside their business. Okay? So it really does exist. Where is it? It's in the conversion rate. Everyone runs around screaming, saying, we want more leads. What's the point in getting you more leads when you can't convert them? You're useless at it. Okay? Maybe what we should do is work out a way to convert more of them, because if you can do that, even if you only get 50% of those people that were just dribbling out, that's how much money's on the table. Now, do you guys find that plausible? There's maybe 400,000 bucks a year drifting through the fingers of some advisors? Yeah? No? Body language? This is how marketing has changed. In the last 10 years, this is how marketing has changed. And this is where you get that missing 400,000 bucks. The process is still essentially the same. Somehow, your advertising, your marketing, your lead generation, your referrals, somehow you get on somebody's radar screen, you get their attention. Agree? And then they've got to go through this emotional buying cycle where you've got to move them from attention to interest before they can get on to desire, before they'll finally act and buy something from you. And one thing which has not changed is somewhere along the way there's got to be this one-to-one, hand-to-hand combat of selling. Yep. That doesn't go away. But the consumers today are doing things differently. Okay? They Google you. Agree? I heard Kevin ask the question before, and everyone in the room's Googled in the last week. Yep. Most of you probably illegally at the traffic lights on your phone. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so let me throw something to you. You guys all Googled yourself at some stage? It's okay to own up to this one. Yep. Say yes. Yeah, you have? What did you find in the top 5 results? What did you find? Talk, sorry?
Inconsistency.
Inconsistency, okay. Sorry, what was over here?
Some other people call John Collins.
Yeah, I can teach you how to deal with that. I can teach you how to deal with that. LinkedIn always comes up. Has anybody else noticed that? LinkedIn always comes up. Why? It's owned by Google. What do you reckon? LinkedIn matters? If people are going to Google you, what do you reckon is likely to come up? If you're not the only John Collins in the world, your New Zealand LinkedIn profile, if they're Googling from New Zealand, that's what will come up as the New Zealand ones. Yep. What else do Google happen to own? The second largest search engine in the world, YouTube. Do you think video matters? True. Totally true. Okay, so that's how people are starting to check you out. Are you positioned for it? Okay, this is a hot thing. You guys need to get yourselves as well positioned as you can for when you're being Googled. Yep, because it makes a difference. But once they get past that, what you need to do is build a process of engagement so that you can drag people through the buying cycle at the pace they're happy at. Because it's no longer about going out and selling, it's about dragging them through at the pace that they're happy at. Here's what typically happens. Now, you guys, correct me if I've got it wrong, but like even when you get a referred lead and it's, you know, maybe not an ideal client, but it's, you know, you like the referrer, so you're trying to do the right thing, and yeah, you ring up and like, yeah, do you want to see me? And they go, nah. And you ring up a few weeks later, do you want to see me? Nah. And you sort of stay in touch a couple, 3, 4 times maybe. Feel about right? And then you flag it away, they weren't interested. Is that typically what guys do? Yep, I do that. Well, I used to. Used to do that. Okay, 9 out of 10 advisors never contact again after the 4th time. How great's the opportunity if you're the one that's still out there contacting them? Straight away. 9 out of 10 advisors call it quits after 4 contacts. It's a process. Now, don't for a moment think that I'm saying to make something like this work, you need to be making 12 phone calls or you need to be doing digital marketing. It doesn't need to be any of those things. It could be, but it doesn't need to be. It might be as simple as sending out movie tickets or sending out a thank you card. That could be a level of engagement, a level of contact. Yep. It doesn't have to be rocket science and it doesn't have to be high tech. But if you can build a process, a system, where without fault and without flaw, you make sure that every single person that comes in as an opportunity in your business has 12 points of contact over the course of the next 6 to 12 months, you will convert an enormous proportion of them. It works. All you've got to do over the course of the next few months is start to think about how you could do that. What ways you could build those touch points into your system. Might be newsletters, might be thank you cards, might be an email campaign, it might be a news watch, you know, some sort of update. Okay, so there's a system that I suggest you guys think about starting to build in your mind at least over the next couple of months. So think through this rundown period, the next 4 or 5 weeks, all that's left. Basically, your role over the next 4 or 5 weeks, if you think about it logically, is just get the job, do the job, isn't it? You're not worried about improving your advice processes anymore, sorry, John. Okay? They can get improved again in February or something. Okay? For now, in the rundown period, stick to that core operational requirements. Do the stuff that matters. Do the stuff that your business exists to do. It's just get out in front of some people and just do the business of doing the business. Okay? So get the job, do the job. This is prime networking time. Okay? It is prime networking time. This is the time of year where you will get people's attention, you will get their time for a drink, for a coffee, for a lunch. Okay? This is your best opportunity to lay the platform for some great referrals and some great centres of influence. Okay? It's prime time. Start building a wish list on the stuff that you can automate in your business. Now, this automation thing is not something that advisors generally do very, very well. Now, I've got a little ad over there, and it's not because I have any interest in their business at all. Camtasia. Any of you guys heard of that? Camtasia? It's a really good piece of software, okay, for you capturing video and producing video quite professionally while you're sitting at your computer. Okay? So as a for instance, it will record while you're talking whatever is on the screen. So you might set up a PowerPoint, you might have a whole range of documents that you... How many of you guys use like a pre-appointment pack? You know? You've got stuff that you send... Yeah? Cool. Thank God someone does. You're a good man. Okay? So you've got stuff you send out to clients before the meeting?
Oh, no.
No, but you've got a pack that you take with you. Okay, cool. Even if it's a pack you take with you. And this is really common in places like Australia and the UK now. Before, or when the meeting is made, the appointment is made, flick out an email. It's got a little video on it that runs for about a minute and a half that the office staff have just made sitting at their desk. And it just says, here's what's going to happen at the meeting. We'll do this and this and this, and they're showing the documents on the screen. And it takes away all the fear, the uncertainty, the unknown. Okay? Gets greater levels of engagement from the clients. There's nothing unknown. There's nothing to fear in the process. You can use these sorts of things in all sorts of ways. It's not Camtasia, of course, but one of the firms that I was working with over in Sydney. Right next to it is a really flash suburb called Potts Point. And there's literally Maseratis and things parked all over the streets. Anyway, this particular firm that I was working with have got these magnificent premises in Potts Point, but you can't work out how to get into the building. It's just a shocker. It's like Fort Knox, you know. So you wander around the street for 5 minutes, finally figure out how to get in. Guess what? A lot of clients don't come back for second meetings at their offices. So, you know, the first time I went there, it's like, this is awful. Why don't you just make a quick video that you can email out to your clients? And I went, how can you do that? Pick up the smartphone. Any of you seen that type and walk application? It's like a bit of a gimmick for kids, really. It's a look-through application on your phone. So, you know, the kids walk around the house typing and texting because they're looking through the phone without walking into things. Same deal. Just put it on type and walk, hit video record, and then just started walking along and just talking to the phone. It's like, here's the best parking, it's right outside here. The building's really weird because the door's actually around the side here, and just talk as you walk. And you're filming it. Okay, the whole thing went for about 2 minutes or something, and it's just all the way through. So, when they make the appointment with the clients, now they send this email out which says, here's a little video showing you where to park, how to find us, because it can be a little awkward the first time. Yep, and clients are going, cool. Takes all the mystery and the fear out of it. How can you automate things like that in your business to take some of that fear and mystery and break down some of those barriers? How can you do that? You know, with the technology you've all got in your pockets, it's really easy. Okay? There are loads of places. Okay? You can do the same with your entire advice process. You can show people in little videos, and here's how we do things. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what to expect next. Keeps people engaged. Okay, search engine optimization. Don't expect anyone here to be an expert on it. But if people are Googling you, okay, or they're Googling for services like you provide, start thinking about the keywords that are important for you. Okay, so throw a few examples around. For you guys, what do you think people would be putting into the computer when they're searching for what you do? Yeah. Now, it was interesting because the range of stuff that you guys were throwing out was like, there was some jargon stuff that we use, and I'd challenge you straight away to question whether or not they're words that your customers use. There was some product-oriented stuff, you know, some solutions-type stuff, okay, and there was some needs, but that part there was beautiful, okay? It was a sentence, and that's, you think about how often you do that. How do I find, yeah? Where can I find a? Yeah, how often do people do that? So when you're thinking search engine optimization and keywords to build into your LinkedIn profile and your website and all of those places where you get found digitally, start thinking in terms of little phrases that people use. It's way more powerful because that's more often than not what they're actually putting in. There's little phrases, okay? And even if you don't know what to do with them yet, start collecting testimonials and endorsements, because 14% of the consumer... 14. Got that number? 14% of the consumers trust advertising. What's the percentage that trust peer-to-peer recommendations? 90. 90% of consumers trust peer-to-peer recommendations. Now, in New Zealand, word of mouth is where it's at. Does that instinctively feel right to you guys? We do business with people we know, like and trust. Yeah? You know that whole 6 degrees of separation thing? The people that wrote that thesis originally, they've just gone back and reviewed it in the last year, and they've come out and decided because of social media, the world today is only 3.79 degrees of separation. And that's even less in New Zealand. People do business with people they know, like and trust. Yeah? Which is one of the arguments for that whole engagement process. Stay in touch, they get to know you, they get to like you, they get to trust you, they will do business with you. That's part of the power of the systems. Okay, moving on. So the recharge time and your time off. Yep. In your time off, what should you be doing? Well, if drinking at 10 a.m. is your thing, do some drinking at 10 a.m. If nothing is your thing, do some nothings. Lots of nothings. You can never completely shut down though, can you? Can you? Has anyone really ever completely shut off from business? But one of the things that people don't do well, you ever heard of this whole Mondayitis thing? You know? Do you think it's real? Yeah? Somebody said yes, I'm going to find them. Hey? Why is it real? Why does it actually happen? To most people, not everyone, but to most people. Why does it actually happen? You know, we come back to work on a Monday morning, it's like, why? The reality is, and there's been lots and lots of work on this over the years, the reality is that most of us take 48 hours to actually start to mentally check out of where we've been in a heightened alert state, you know, which is what we do at work. Yep. The mind is in full gear. Think about what you do as advisors. You're in high concentration mode most of the time, aren't you? And it takes about 48 hours for your head to start kicking back out of that high concentration state and get into, cool. You know, you've been on holidays, haven't you? And it's the 3rd or the 4th day of the holiday before you're actually starting to enjoy it. Yep. It actually takes that long to get stuff out of your head. Yep. Now Leighton says, no, I'm usually enjoying it on the plane. Yeah. Yeah. Couple of wines and we're in happy mode. We're good to go. Okay. But if you understand that that's what happens to pretty much all of us, and you might be one of the rare ones that it doesn't, one of the really important things to have a great 2014 is to make sure you plan blocks of at least 5 days off, because you need to have that time out of the business to actually get the chill time and to get your head clear. Okay? It's one of the things from the military. They've worked out that people can only stay on the front lines for so long before performance deteriorates. They start getting slack. They start making mistakes. They start struggling to concentrate. It's the same for us. It's exactly the same for us. A great routine, another lesson from the SAS, okay? Stock standard elite military unit, you know, your Green Berets or whatever, your Rangers. How much sort of ground do they cover in a day when they've got all the gear on and they're heading across the boondocks? How far can they march? Guesses? A bit less. 30-ish is about standard, 30-ish. What about the SAS? How much do they cover in a day? Yeah, it's virtually double. And even though everyone knows how they do it, people can't do it, okay? Because they train specifically for it. And how they do it is they've worked out that actually stopping and sleeping is deadly for them, okay? In a 24-hour period we're talking about, okay? What they do is they've got into this routine of movement, which is walk, jog, sprint, because that's the most efficient use of energy. So they literally will walk for 15 minutes, and then they'll jog for 15 minutes, and they'll sprint for 5. And that's how they cover enormous amounts of territory really, really quickly, because they're actually resting and recuperating while they're in walk mode, but they're still going. And they cover enormous amounts of territory. It's the same in your business. You can't stop dead. But think about that in the context of your business as well. You can't sprint all year. It's a mistake that advisors make over and over and over. They think, I'll just run hard all year and I'll be great. You won't be, okay? It'll kill you. It will kill you. You need to take time out, but you also need to understand that sometimes you've got to walk in your business, yeah? So try and think in terms of 10-week blocks with a piece off. And that piece off, get the heck out of Dodge. Get away from your office, okay? Because you need to get through that 3 days to start to clear your head if it's going to be any good to you. Right. Big thing that I suggest for most advisors, after you've planned that time off, start planning your referral generation activities. That's going to be the bedrock of your lead generation. Word of mouth is where it's at. All the clever digital marketing, the social media stuff, the engagement process, that supports your lead generation. It doesn't replace it. It supports it. Okay? And if lead generation is where it's at, how have you built a process in your business to make sure it keeps happening continually and consistently? What do most kids want from their parents? Don't say money, everyone says money. Yeah? Time, absolutely, time and attention. How do you build great referral relationships? Time and attention. It's just time and attention. So here you go, here's my next big tip for 2014. Bring back the long lunch. Right? Bring it back. Long lunch is a good thing. Where else do you spend time with the people that matter that can help build your business? Seriously. Does a 20-minute cup of coffee do it? Nah. Another thing which came out of a conversation yesterday, occasionally advisors think that giving money to people for referrals is a really good thing. Just going to throw in just a random thought. Giving money may or may not be a good thing. Some people it'll matter a lot. But generally speaking, spending exactly the same amount of money on an experience they remember is way more powerful. Okay? Instead of giving someone $250 for a lead, give them a $250 experience. It actually builds a relationship. It gives it depth. You get way better bang for buck on the money if you give them an experience. Client segmentation service strategy. If you're going to build that engagement process, it's probably time to go back to thinking about the client service strategy, how you engage with all your clients, because there's probably more money sitting amongst there as well. So you might as well wheel out that same engagement process. What do you reckon? You're doing it anyway. Okay. So that's during the recharge phase. Moving on. When you get back to work after you've had your 4 weeks off, your 3 days off, whatever the heck it is you've planned to take off, remember that submarine story at the start? Okay? It comes out of a year in refit. It comes out of having new welds and new systems and new stuff and civilians crawling all over it and breaking shit. Okay? And you don't know what's broken. You don't... Shit is a technical term, by the way. Okay? You don't know what doesn't work, and you don't know what works as well as it should until you actually take it out and try it. It's the same in your business. You've actually got to get the thing. You've got to push that boat out and you've got to try it. And you'll find there's some stuff that doesn't work as well as you should. But if in the first quarter you just sort of hit it hard, you get the boat out to sea, and you focus on just doing the quantity and the quality stuff, okay? It's all about lead generation, conversion, working on that average sale size, and working on the average number of sales you can get per client. If you just stay focused on that for 3 months, your year will be fabulous. And if you want the easiest and best time management or task management system in the world, look at everything with a simple question. Does it make me money or cost me money? Simple question. Does it make me money or cost me money? If you spend the first quarter just working on the stuff that makes you money, you'll have a fab year. Yep. The cost you money stuff, that can wait. Okay? Don't worry about that stuff. Get out there fast. Important point, that put the boat to sea, test it out there. Your engagement marketing system that you're going to design, hopefully, and wheel out. Don't worry if you've only got it up to step 5 or 6. Build it as you go. If you haven't thought it through all the way, don't sweat it. Get going, get sailing. Okay? Build it as you go. The long lunch, meet them once a week. You've got, if you're working 40 weeks a year, you've got 40 great opportunities to sit down and spend quality time building depth in relationships. Don't blow that. Make a point of doing that once a week. It's probably the most valuable marketing activity you'll do in terms of building ongoing and consistent referrals. And referral marketing, word of mouth, is where it's at in New Zealand. And that's not going to change anytime soon. You all good with that? Cool. And the last thing I'm going to throw at you is make sure that you test and measure. You know that numbers stuff that I talked about earlier on? Okay? You can't manage what you don't measure. You can't manage it. You can't improve systems unless you know whether they're working at the limits or within acceptable limits. You've got to know your numbers, you've got to know your ratios, because in there is the answers to where you can get improvement. That's where you can pull the levers on your business. So you've got to test and measure and adjust and refine as you go. If you do that, the things that I've talked about here, you'll have a really busy but fun first quarter, because you'll be focused on the stuff that matters, that makes you money, and you'll be staying busy, but you won't be worrying about all the headache crap. That's another technical term, right? Crap. You won't be worrying about that. And that's what will set you up for a fabulous 2014. Cool? Sweet. Leave you to it.